2 days ago, we saw the fallout from the ADC presidential primaries, which didn't go quite as planned. Two of the major candidates did not show up at the collation. Two of them also issued very strong protestation notes. But yesterday, we saw former Vice President Atiku-Abubakar visit one of the contestants. I imagine is to make peace and also mend fences. He visited Atiku-Amaechi at his home. And afterwards, it looked like they had been able to patch it up. And maybe they will be able to present a united front for the ADC as they go into the presidential primaries. But that patch-up now has been done. According to the former vice president, they had frank conversation about the state of the country. But I wonder if they also had conversations about the state of the primaries that were conducted, given the gravity, the weight of the words used by Right Honorable Atiku-Amaechi in describing the primaries. And Mr. Hayatuddin, who even said he wasn't going to show up at the collation. So
another conversation I wish they would have openly is the state of the ADC itself. Because as is, there is Dumebi Kachiku, who is also a flag bearer of the ADC.
Indeed.
What does that mean? What is the future? Are they sorting this out? Is this going to come back to bite the ADC? What's going to happen? Well, too many questions and a lot of things that need clarification on, but we'll be talking about that this morning.
As a matter of fact, we go there right away with Mr. Kalu, who is a lawyer and a chieftain of the African Democratic Congress. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Good morning, Marco.
Yeah, I can see that you're smiling. Is it the visuals that are making you smile? You're looking at that, or is it what Kila was saying?
But what both of you are saying,
Okay.
they're interesting.
Okay, so let's start with an assessment of the Tinubu administration. I think I'll say very upfront, though, that you are a member of the opposition party. So I think it's important that people, you might not exactly have anything good to say, but if we're to look at it more altruistically, if that is possible, would you want to start with anything positive that you would say that this administration has done?
There is none.
There is none?
Basically none.
Nothing at all?
Not at all. Not at all.
Not in any aspect, not in the area of security, not in the area of the economy, nothing at all?
Nothing at all. I remember what happened on the 29th day of May, 2023, when Tinubu was sworn in as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. On that day, fuel, the price of petroleum, or the price of fuel, was 196 naira per liter. On that day, it rose from 196 to about 700 naira per liter. And that changed the economic fortunes of Nigerians. You know, fear controls virtually every aspect of our living in Nigeria. There is no electricity. People buy fuel to power their generators. People buy fuel to do virtually everything. And the price rose from 196 naira per liter to around 700 naira per liter. That was in 2023. Today, how much is fuel per liter? That is 1,400 naira per liter. And it has affected everything, all the sectors of the economy negatively. Everybody in this country is crying of hardship. Even these channels, if you call the management and ask them how much was the cost of running the activities of Chinese television as at last 3 years and today, what you hear will blow your mind. And so many businesses have gone down.
So that is stating the, I mean, in terms of the fuel, that's stating the obvious. I mean, we all are living it. We're living the experience. Even I asking you questions here, I have to buy fuel and I'm buying it at the cost that you know, like almost 5 times what I used to buy it pre-President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But I want to ask, do we accept that that was a necessary step? Because we all admit that, I want to imagine that we'll all admit that there is no government that will come in and will want to intentionally inflict hardship on its own citizens. I imagine that governments, when they're, you know, those in power, will want to be liked. And they know that those kinds of policies are not the kinds of things that make them popular. So do you, as someone in the opposition and who also understands, has an idea of how tough it is to lead, to take necessary decisions, do you think that that was a necessary move?
It wasn't.
It wasn't?
It wasn't at all.
The removal of subsidy wasn't?
It wasn't at all at that material point that it was removed. Remember, after the time Tinubu made that pronouncement, Tinubu had not constituted his team, his economic team, for advice. Remember, in 2011, that's Jonathan's period, Tinubu, Buhari, and his and their associates in the opposition said that subsidy is a scam. That the issue of subsidy is a scam. And when he now came in, instead of him to address the root cause of the problem associated with subsidy, he did not. No advice from anywhere, nothing. On his own, unilaterally.
Let's not forget that all of the parties at the time, all of the presidential candidates at the time, in their separate manifestos, had said that they were going to take away subsidy.
Yes, but they would have taken some steps before that removal. First of all, at least even do an investigation around the issue of subsidy in Nigeria.
What investigation did we need again?
Those bogus claims that they supplied XYZ amount of fuel in the country, XYZ this, XYZ that. No investigation at all. Did
we not see where the investigations led us and left us in 2011, 2012, when those investigations were, as we speak, some people are still being prosecuted from the investigations that were done at that time. Do we really want to go down that route again?
At least, as a new government, you would have taken time to study those investigations and then know where you can take it from. Well, they may have, after taking a holistic study of the reports on the issue of subsidy, they may have taken different approach, like providing some succor or some cushion to what the removal of subsidy could have brought on Nigerians. But today, from nowhere, unilaterally, without even having advice from your economic team, you just removed first subsidy. And that is why we are suffering it today. There is nothing to cushion the effect of subsidy, the removal of subsidy, nothing on ground.
Will an Atiku presidency go back to the subsidy regime?
I'm not an economist. I'm a lawyer.
Yes,
but I know
he's your candidate.
He's my candidate.
Good. Would he go back? Would he go back to the subsidy regime?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not an economist, okay. So I cannot discuss issues that I don't have firm knowledge of. Yes, but I know that Atiku Abubakar will not make the mistake Tinubu made in the removal of first subsidy without having proper advice and consultation on how to go about it.
It's 7 months to the elections. What you're telling us, in essence, is that the manifesto of your party is still not clear with regards to the economy. That's what you're saying.
No. Don't get me right.
That's what your answer implies.
No, it is not. You know, you asked me a direct question.
Yes.
And I answered honestly that I am not an economist.
Do you have the manifesto of your party?
The manifesto of the party, yes, is everywhere. Is
subsidy mentioned in the manifesto of the ADC?
Well, very well.
So what does it say? What is the stand of the party when it comes to that particular matter?
On subsidy?
Yes, fuel subsidy.
Fuel subsidy.
Yes.
Definitely, Atiku Abubakar has said it repeatedly that he will also get the fuel subsidy removed, but that he would take proper steps before that removal will be effected. Not a unilateral decision without consultation, without advice from experts on that area.
So the anger is that it's not that the fuel subsidy was removed, it's that it wasn't removed in a way that wouldn't impact Nigerians so adversely. That's what you're trying to say to us.
Very well.
The president actually spoke about it in his speech for today, and I'm just going to take a little part of what he said. So he started talking first of all about the subsidy regime, you know, and what they had to face when they came into office. But he says this particular removal was necessary, and he says he is conscious of the sufferings of the Nigerian people as a result of this, but he's telling us that those sufferings would not be in vain. There's an article that was written about him a few days ago called "The Man Who Bit the Bullet for Nigeria." And he's also mentioning that in his speech this morning, where he's saying, if we hadn't done what we did, we would have been on the way to fiscal destruction. We would not have been able to survive as a country. Yes, it is difficult, but it was the right thing to do at the time. Does that make any sense to you at all?
At all.
Okay.
I will tell you. You said you removed fuel subsidy to save Nigeria from economic destruction. Today, the government of Bola-Ahmed Tinubu has borrowed the most from 1999 to date. And he keeps borrowing on daily basis, on monthly basis. There is no month that will pass in Nigeria without you hearing that he has sent a request to the National Assembly for one loan or the other. So what's the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy?
He says the governors can attest.
Hold on.
No, I'm responding to you. He says the governors can attest to the fact that more allocations have gone to them, and that the development that will come as a result of that may be gradual, but it's inevitable. That
is where he got it wrong. He is now pushing it to the governors. If he had taken proper advice, it wouldn't have been the way it is today. That the removal of the fuel subsidy will now be at the control of the state governors. Today, can you show me a particular state in Nigeria that you would truly say that you can see the effect of the bumper harvest of allocation, monthly allocation in those states? Show me one state. Show me one state.
Not even Abia.
Which Abia? I have openly asked Alex Oti, give us, open up your financial records. Let Abians see what you have gotten from the federal allocation from 2023 to date, so that we can clap for you. I, Kalu, will be the first person that will be on the street of Aba, be on the street of Umuahia to campaign for a re-election. And to date, Alex has not yielded to that request. Show us your books. How much have you collected from FARC? Thus, we will match it with what you have on ground. Not after you have gotten, for instance, you have gotten 100 billion naira from the federal government, you only put in 1 billion naira and you say you're working.
Yeah, but does that negate the fact that there are things to see on the ground that makes Abia at least stand out from what it used to be in the past?
No. You know, when you compare two failures, you can't say you have a better failure.
So he's a failure. What I'm saying is you are not seeing any infrastructure.
Just that's what I'm saying. Let him come.
You're not seeing any projects.
Which project are we talking about? Because when you say, if, for instance, I gave you 100 billion naira to put this place in order, and you only made use of 1 billion naira to buy certain things in this office, will you now say, in good conscience, that you have done well with the 100 billion that I gave to you?
No, doing well is another kettle of fish. But the question is, it can over budget for something. That is a possibility. If it will take 1 billion naira to furnish this place, for instance, there will be no need to spend 100 billion. Now, if you give me 100 billion and I have finished furnishing this place, it doesn't negate the fact that I have done the work.
No.
So
if you have done,
yes.
If I gave you 100 billion naira and you used only 1 billion naira to do the project for which that 100 billion naira was meant for, then account for the unused 99 billion naira.
So perhaps you can fault him on accountability.
So,
but whether or not he's doing something.
When a man hides his financial records, what does it tell you?
I get your point.
And if he doesn't, if not for section 308, yes, 308 of the 1999 Constitution that gives him that immunity, don't you think he will be a guest in EFCC today? Don't you think so?
So as far as you're concerned, there is no governor that is doing anything good.
What the amount of money they have received from the federal allocation since 2023 to date? That is why we say Tinubu got it wrong. Because if he had been advised properly, there would have been a way around it. Like I said, I'm not an economist, but I am feeling the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy.
Okay, let's go to your party then, since you are not an economist and you know, you're a lawyer. Lawyers enjoy talking about the Constitution, the Electoral Act, politics, and let's talk about the emergence of former Vice President Atiku-Abubakar as the ADC presidential candidate. And we don't want to go into whether or not this is a faction or not, because I'm sure you've also heard about the emergence of Dumebi Kachiko as an ADC presidential candidate. But the criticism that followed the election, or his emergence through direct primaries from the other candidates, was less than stellar. They were quite scathing, as a matter of fact. How would you say that reconciliation effort, because right now we've seen that the steps have really started, they've started now, but given the weight of the words that were used by the opposition, by other contestants in the race, do you really think that they will be able to power through an election in 2027, given all that has transpired between them, particularly at the primaries?
Let me first of all settle the issue of Dumebi as a person. You know,
as a person or as a member of a party?
Dumebi is not a member of ADC. He has been expelled from the party. That's one. Two, you know, the Nigerian media is not really doing well to the opposition political parties. I'll tell you why. I know that that's what people call investigative journalism, to know who is this person. Is Dumebi recognized by INEC, or are his activities recognized by INEC? We are a people governed by law. All the leaders of all the political parties we have in Nigeria have their names uploaded in the portal of INEC. Is Dumebi and his co-travelers, are their names uploaded in INEC's portal? If their names are not in INEC's portal, why do we still refer them as a faction of ADC?
This gentleman whom you referred to was the presidential candidate of the ADC in the 2023 election.
Yes, and the organ of the party does not recognize a candidate as a leader of the political party. It is at best described as a candidate. And there are several candidates in the past of ADC, like Professor Pat Utumi. We did not say Professor Pat now is the leader of ADC today. He is not. The leader of ADC, recognized by INEC, the umpire saddled with the responsibility of managing political parties in Nigeria, has the name of David Mark, Arebeshola, and other leaders of ADC on his portal. That settles it. Any other person outside this group is a minister interloper.
Names change now. Names change on the portal.
So
names can change on the portal, so, pending cases and how those cases are.
As at the time, there has never been a time. There has never been a time. You can quote me wrong.
Okay.
If INEC had at any point placed the name of Dumebi Kachukwu as either the chairman, the national chairman, or the national secretary of ADC at any point.
So you don't see this being a problem at all?
Not at all. He's a busybody, a minister interloper. Watch what happened. At least as a journalist, you would have asked INEC, this man that conducted a national convention and the march from that national convention, is he recognized by the commission? INEC would have given you a clear answer on this. But by the way, the man just made a caricature of himself. He said, I am holding a national convention where I emerged. In the Electoral Act of 2026, is there anywhere where the Electoral Act sanctions the holding of a national convention where a presidential candidate emerges? Is there anywhere in the provision of the Electoral Act 2026?
So your point is taken about that, and I think.
Then secondly, on the second question.
Yes, because I was going to say he has enough. He has ample room to defend himself and his
on the second question, he has nothing to defend himself. He's a minister interloper. On the second question, for every context, a winner will always emerge. There will always be a winner and a loser. Today, Atiku-Abubakar has emerged as the flag bearer of ADC in the 2027 presidential election. And there will always be fallout. Some losers may not be team players. Some losers may be team players. And as a leader, he is. What he did was to quickly take up that fatherly role, which he has been playing.
Of reconciliation.
Yes, of reconciliation. And that step is commendable.
The question I have for you has to do with the zoning part of this whole conversation, because that's the biggest criticism people have of the ADC, is that you've made a colossal mistake bringing a northerner, to face Tinubu in the polls, who is clearly a southerner. And then people say this is the turn of the South. So if you do bring someone from the north, you shot yourself in the foot. What do you make of that criticism?
When I hear this kind of conversation, I laugh, because let it be on record that the North have been magnanimous to the South. We started our democracy again in 1999. From 1999 to 2027, when we now go into another round of election, we would have had 28 unbroken years of democracy in Nigeria. And from these 28 years, the South, by next year, the South would have had 18 years at the presidency, while the North have only 10 years at the presidency. Now, if you now say it is the turn of the South, giving the South another 4 years, that means by 2031, when the tenure of whoever that will go into power by 2027,
yes,
the South would have had 22 years, while the North will have only 8 years. What is the equity?
It's not 8 years.
It's 8 years. I mean, it's 10 years.
It's 10 years, yes.
Buhari had 8 years.
Yeah,
Yar'Adua had 2 years. That's 10 years. And today, Obasanjo had 8 years. Jonathan had 6 years. That's 14 years. Then Tinubu, 4 years. That is 18 years. Already, the North is disadvantaged in the entire calculation. So telling them now to wait again for another 4 years, that is stark injustice against the North. And I said they are magnanimous to the South because they have the numbers more than the South. And if they have the numbers more than the South, and I keep telling my brothers and my sisters from the South, let us not anger the North. That when this power gets back to them, at any time it gets back to them, they will tell you politics is all about the majority. That if we are in the majority, let us keep this power in the North. Let us not anger them at this point and allow them to close up the gap that they have as of today. Just let them have the power for another 8 years.
Your explanation is very interesting, because some people will say that maybe that's being clever, because if you look at how it's supposed to go, rotation is that it comes to your side now, then when it's done on your side, it comes to the other side. That's how it ought to be, unless, of course, I mean, as we saw in the Jonathan case, extraordinary circumstances came up, and we saw a situation whereby
and today we're about to go into another cycle of election. No, there is no extraordinary situation, because if you are saying, as at the time of Jonathan, there was an extraordinary circumstance that led Jonathan to take that 6 years from the North. Now that there is another election, if we are fair to the North, can't we now say, Tinubu, yes, you've had your 4 years, allow the North for fairness, for equity.
He's had 4 years.
Tinubu has had 4 years.
He's allowed 8.
He's allowed 8. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That, you know, she asked me a question about zoning the ticket of the ADC to the North, because it is still the turn of the South. I said no. No. It's a wrong calculation.
No, just a moment. The situation here is that it doesn't appear that the candidate that has now emerged, your candidate, Vice President Atiku-Abubakar, doesn't respect any zoning arrangement, because every year, I mean, I think it's about the 4th or 5th time he's going to be contesting now, whether it's been the turn of the North or South, he has contested. Since 2019, he has been contesting. Against President Buhari, he contested. In 2023, he contested, even though the general feeling at that time was that, oh, it should go back to the South. So to make this argument that, oh, it is still the turn of the North, some people will say it doesn't quite, because it would appear that other people in your party have argued that you're not exactly looking at zoning, and that because that arrangement was not working, it was one of the reasons why people like Mr. Peter Obi had to take an exit from the party.
It's not true. I was with Peter Obi on the 13th day of April 2026, April this year. In Enugu, as in your introduction, you introduced me as the Abia State chairman of ADC. All the 5 Eastern chairmen of ADC had a meeting with Peter Obi on the 13th day of April 2026 in Enugu. He invited us for that meeting, and I told him to his face, Your Excellency, from the registration we have in ADC today, the numbers do not align for you to beat Atiku-Abubakar in the presidential election. He said, how? I'm saying it in a national television, and I believe he's hearing me, and I believe his supporters are also hearing me. I told him, after that 13th day, also do your findings. On the 13th day of April 2026, the entire Southeast had only 283 registered members of ADC, while Adamawa alone had 264,000 registered members of ADC. Kaduna, 277. I said, from the North, the ADC members registered in the North were almost 2 million.
Yeah, so you're
and I told
just a moment. What you're saying is that it automatically means that if they're registered in the North, then automatically they were going to be voting for Vice President Atiku-Abubakar. Is that correct? You're not in their minds now, are you?
He just played out in this primary election just conducted, that Atiku-Abubakar swept the entire North.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you heard what...
He swept the entire North.
You heard what Mr. Atiku-Amaechi had to say about the primaries. You heard about it.
I did.
And I'm sure that you saw that it was not described in the... He said those results were concocted. That's how he described the results of the elections. He said, I initially stated that he will only accept the outcome of the primaries if the process was free, fair, and transparent, and I stand by my word. I will not accept results from a process that does not reflect the values of the ADC, that the values that they had pledged to uphold to rescue Nigerians from the impunity and gross mismanagement. He said there's no way that about 80% of members of the party were not allowed to vote, and you expect me to accept such results. Then what makes us different from the others? These are questions that he asked. I'm sure you saw that statement.
Yes, I saw it and I read it. And like what has always been my position as a chieftain of ADC is that I can't come on the national television to join issues with the opinion of my leader, Atiku-Amaechi. But the only thing I will say is that Alhaji Atiku-Abubakar is on this issue to reconcile all the other aspirants who didn't feel that the process went very well. But I can tell you, as a leader, that the process went very well, free and fair. That's what I will tell you.
So were they imagining things then?
So whether Amaechi was imagining things?
Yes.
No. You know, I said I cannot come on the national television and join issues with my leader.
Are you confident? Are you confident then that this reconciliation that has now happened is enough to mend, to set it all up, set the party all up for the 2027 election?
Sure. I know Amaechi is a team player. Amaechi, we know him, has always been on the path of progress. Amaechi will not in any way create any disaffection among the members of ADC. Amaechi, I know, will put in his best. Amaechi, I know, will put in all his resources, financially and otherwise, to make sure that ADC takes this irresponsible government led by Tinubu out of power by 2027.
Well, we'll wait and see how that eventually pans out. We've seen the reconciliation processes have started, and will Mohammed Hayatuddin be visited as well? Do you know?
Yes, Atiku-Abubakar is a bridge builder.
All right.
I know he will do the proper thing.
Okay.
To make sure that the party stays together, the party stays united for 2027 general election. And the ADC is on its path of taking this, how would I say, anti-people government out of power by next year.
All right. We'll see how much of a bridge he builds within the ADC
he will.
to the 2027 elections. We have to thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. Mr. Kalu is a lawyer and a chieftain of the African Democratic Congress. You heard him say he's the chairman of the ADC in Abia State. Thank you once more for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be visiting more fallouts from the primaries conducted, this time in Kaduna State. Please stay with us.